Hello everyone, welcome to Biology ICSE with Aanchal, and let us without wasting time move to the next unit that we'll be talking about, that is the plant physiology. Plant physiology for your board exam is around for 25 marks, and out of the 25 marks the chapters that we are going to cover is absorption by roots, transpiration, photosynthesis and chemical coordination in plants. So 5 marks generally comes from each chapter. Absorption by roots will have little bit more marks. So we will be discussing the important aspects of the chapter. Children, this is just a quick revision. So I will not be covering the entire topic, but yes, whatever is important for your board exams will be covered. There will be few questions asked in between in a written form. Kindly try to answer those questions in the comment section. So let us quickly go to the plant physiology. The first chapter that is included in plant physiology is absorption by roots. In absorption by roots, the most important thing, as you can see in the heading, is the roots. So what makes root apt for absorption of water is the presence of the root hair. There has been many studies which has revealed that the root hair, the length of the root hair can go up to around kilometers and kilometers for the plant. So the root hair being unicellular helps in the absorption, increase the surface area for absorption. Okay, so diagram for the root hair can be asked in the exam. So root hair, you can make a square cell and an extension to the cell. Okay, this one is still growing. The root hair contains a very big vacuole, okay, vacuole, and you have got the nucleus. Okay, the inner part is the cell membrane. This one is the cell membrane, and the vacuole, you can see this way. And as you know that it's a plant cell, so it has got a cell wall. Okay, this is the structure of a root hair. If you have to name it, you have to label it. So you have nucleus, you have the vacuole, so you have the cell sap in the vacuole, and this cell sap concentration is very important for the absorption of water from the soil. The cell sap is highly concentrated. So the movement of water from the dilute surrounding, that is from the soil, happens because the cell wall is hypertonic in nature. So we will also talk about certain solutions: isotonic, hypotonic and hypertonic. Okay, then there are 4 ways of absorption by which water can move in and out, or any molecule can move in and out: osmosis, imbibition, diffusion and active transport. So these are the basic important parts of the chapter absorption by roots. Okay, so characteristics of the root hair, I hope you have understood. They are unicellular, so it helps in absorption of nutrients, molecules, solute, solvent, everything from the surrounding. Diffusion is easy with the unicellular structures. You remember capillaries in the circulatory system. There also they are unicellular for the easy exchange of gases or nutrients. In the same way, here the cell, the root hair is also unicellular. Moreover, it increases the surface area, so that more and more surface area is available for absorption of nutrients and water from the surrounding. Is that clear? Any doubt, children? Put it in the comment section. I hope you all have subscribed my channel, those who are watching. If not, please subscribe my channel. Now next, moving up to the structure of root hair, I hope it's clear. Then you have, there are these 4 aspects we'll be talking about. And there are 2 more things that we need to know. One is cohesive force and adhesive force, or cohesion or adhesion. Okay, cohesion and adhesion. Now when you talk about cohesion, cohesion means between the same molecules. So when water moves on in the xylem, that time there is a kind of attraction between the two water molecules, that is the cohesive force. And there is attraction between the water molecule and the xylem vascular bundle, that is the adhesive force. Adhesive like Fevicol, or you stick two substances together, paper and any glitter, maybe two different kind of substances. Here also two different thing, the force is adhesive force, same thing the force is cohesive force. Okay. And when you talk about the transportation, that is osmosis, imbibition, diffusion and active transport, kindly remember the definitions. What is osmosis? Osmosis is a process in which water molecule moves. Please remember, in osmosis it is the water molecule which is moving, none of the solutes or the solvent, solute, sugar, salt, these things are moving. It is only the water which is moving. So if osmosis is happening, there is a semi-permeable membrane, and if there is a hypertonic solution here, that is concentrated solution, from the dilute solution or hypotonic solution, the water always moves to the hypertonic or concentrated solution. So when you have to define osmosis, osmosis is a process by which water molecule moves from the region of its higher concentration to, that is dilute, to its lower concentration, that is a concentrated solution, through a semi-permeable membrane. So this will give you the complete 1 mark for the osmosis definition. Now when I say osmosis, osmosis can be endoosmosis or exoosmosis. Endoosmosis or exoosmosis. Okay. So I'll go in detail about these osmosis. I hope the definition is clear. I'll just explain these 3 solutions, endo and exoosmosis, and the type of question which can be asked on this. Okay. Imbibition. Imbibition is generally by the dead cells. Like if you put seeds in water for soaking, like mama wants to make some chana ka sabzi or matar ka sabzi next day, so she has to soak it at night. So that soaking of the seed, the initial adsorption, not absorption, adsorption takes place on the surface, that is called imbibition. In rainy season, generally the wooden doors becomes blocked, that is because of imbibition. Seed initial process of uptake of water is imbibition. Diffusion. Diffusion is of the solute particles. If I spray perfume here, after some period of time it can reach to the children in the classroom, then to the last bench it will reach. That is because of the process of diffusion. So diffusion is the process of movement of molecules from a region of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration till the concentration becomes equal. And active transport is opposite. Everywhere the molecules are moving, either it is solute or solvent, from higher concentration to lower concentration, but here it is ulta. That is, from lower concentration it is going to higher concentration by spending energy. When I say the cell sap is concentrated, that means the concentration of ions here is more. So if the root wants to absorb certain ions inside, it has to spend certain energy, and that is called active transport. So in active transport, expenditure of energy is the key. In osmosis, water molecule movement from its region of higher concentration, that is from a dilute solution to a concentrated solution, through a semi-permeable membrane, until unless you write the 3 words, these 3 things in your answer, you will not get marks. Okay. I hope this concept is clear. So let me quickly rub the board. Moving to the next topic, that is the osmosis. Osmosis, little bit of detailing is needed for osmosis. So what is osmosis? First you understand what is hypotonic, what is hypertonic, and what is isotonic. When I talk about hypotonic, it means it is a dilute solution, that is more water. Okay. Hypertonic is concentrated solution, that is less water, sugar syrup. Okay. And isotonic is the concentration is same to that of cell. If a plant cell is taken and a plant cell is placed in an hypotonic solution, the plant cell is placed in a hypotonic solution. So, what will happen? Water will start moving in the plant cell and the plant cell membrane will stick to the cell wall. That is, the plant cell will become fully turgid. So, the condition is turgidity here. The plant cell becomes turgid. When you have the plant cell placed in a hypertonic solution. Okay. Hypertonic solution means this is concentrated as compared to the cell sap. So, what will happen? Water will start moving out. Water will start moving out and this plasma membrane will shrink. So, the new cell is plasma membrane is shrink and the condition here is plasmolysed cell. Plasmolysed cell. When this cell is placed back into the dilute solution, it will become deplasmolysed, that is, it will again become turgid. Okay. Here it is becoming plasmolysed. You can use the term flaccid also. Generally, flaccid is used for the plant animal cells, and the entire plant, if you talk about, it can turn flaccid. In plant cell, it's better to write plasmolysed cell. Isotonic solution, endoosmosis is equal to exoosmosis. So, there is no net movement of water. No net movement of water. Okay. So, the cell remains of its original size. Is this clear? Always remember, the water molecule always moves from hypo to hyper. Is that clear? Water always moves from hypo to hyper. So, on this topic, many questions like fertilizers being added to the plant gets, if fertilizer is added to the plant and proper watering is not done, then the plants wilt and die. Reason is a concentrated solution is being produced around the root. So, water comes out of the plant and the plant dries up. Similarly, what happens to the fish, a marine fish, that is a fish who stays in a hypertonic water, when placed in fresh water, burst. So, what happens? So, please try to understand which medium the cell is being placed. If it is placed in hypotonic, that means the cell sap is of more concentration, water will move into the cell. If it is placed in hypertonic solution, the water will move out of the cell. So, if you understand this concept, you can write any question based on this. It can be any case based study can be asked from this part of the chapter. Is this clear? I hope you are clear with the osmosis, imbibition, diffusion, active transport, characteristics of root hair, structure of root hair, cohesive and adhesive force, experiments. In this chapter, the experiments related to absorption, that is the eosin experiment, where you place a twig in the red dye and you see which part of the plant cell is colored. It is xylem, because xylem conducts water. You have to remember that xylem is responsible for conduction of water and phloem is responsible for translocation of food. There is one more question that comes in arrange the logical sequence, is the root hair. Then what happens after, what is there after root hair? So, if you remember recep, okay, root hair, endodermis, cortex, root hair, epidermis, cortex, endodermis, pericycle, phloem and xylem. This is the order that you need to know how the water moves into the root hair. Is that clear? So, let me write it for you so that it's easy. So first you have got a root hair, okay. Then you have got a layer of cells which is epidermis. Then you have got endodermis, and these things you remember, if you remember your 9th standard, the parenchyma cells, basically cortex. So the cortex fills up the gap. You have the endodermis, then you have the pericycle, then you have the phloem, and you have the xylem. So this order you need to remember. You have root hair, epidermis, cortex, pericycle, then this is pericycle, this one is endodermis, inner, endo is inside, epi is outside. Then you have phloem and you have xylem. So this is the order from out to in, how the water enters. Is this clear to everyone? Yes, this much is there for chapter 4. So let us move to chapter 5, that is transpiration. Before that, let me clear the board. Anything else that you have any doubt related to chapter 4, that is absorption by roots, put it in the comment section, it will be answered. Now next topic is transpiration. Transpiration, the concept, the definition is very important, okay. Transpiration in Selena, it is chapter 5. So first the concept of transpiration. What is transpiration? Transpiration is the loss of water in form of vapor. So transpiration is loss of water in form of vapors from the aerial parts of the plant. Aerial parts of the plant. So these are all keywords for the definition. Now when you talk about transpiration, transpiration can be 3 types. You have stomatal, that is from the stomata. You have lenticular, that is from the lenticels. And you have cuticular, that is from the cuticles. Now what are these things? Stomata, you know that. Now location of these things can be asked. One more word is there, hydathodes, that I'll explain when I explain about guttation to you. Now when you say what are the locations, there are specific words which are required for writing the locations. When I say where is stomata located, stomata is located on the epidermal surface of the leaf, mainly concentrated on the lower side, but it is present on both the sides. So you have to write it is present on the epidermal surface of the leaves. Lenticels are present on the stem, epidermal surface of the older stems. It's not present on the green stems and the weaker stems. Older stems, lenticels are present, and cuticles are a waxy layer present on the leaves. Okay. So maximum transpiration obviously occurs from stomata, followed by the lenticels, and least from the cuticles. So this is your transpiration. What are the factors affecting the transpiration? Transpiration, perspiration, evaporation. These 3 terms actually is the same, that is water vapor leaves the surface. So in all the 3 cases the factors also remains the same. So what are the factors? High humidity, low transpiration, okay. High humidity, low transpiration. High temperature, more transpirational rate. Is that clear? Then, so more wind, that is wind, if it is more, the rate of transpiration is high. If the atmospheric pressure increases, the transpirational rate decreases. Is this clear? So remember the factors. The intensity of light is there. If more light is there, stomata will open, more transpiration will happen. Carbon dioxide concentration. Carbon dioxide concentration affects the opening and closing of stomata. If you breathe out on stomata, the stomata closes. That is very high increase in carbon dioxide leads to the closure of stomata. Okay. So in carbon dioxide ke liye, you have to remember that the actual 0.03%, if it goes beyond 0.03%, then the closure of stomata takes place and the rate of transpiration decreases. And what are the internal factors? That can be the content of water in the leaf. For internal factors, transpiration, it is the water content present. If there is no water in the plant, obviously transpiration will not happen, right? And leaves will try to roll itself, decrease the surface area so that the water is not lost. Plant also tries to conserve water. Is that clear? Now next what we are going to talk about is the potometer. Remember, potometer, it's not photometer, it's potometer, Ganong's potometer. This question is asked several times. I hope you remember the setup. You have some setup like this. You have a reservoir, you have a container, here you have the plant, right? You have the plant here and then tube. So this is Ganong's potometer. It is generally not for the transpiration directly. So this experiment shows the water uptake by the plant, which is directly proportional to the rate of transpiration. So answer will also vary if you do the experiment in the month of May, or you do it in the rainy season, or do it in the winter. The answer is going to vary, right? So this potometer, what are the difficulties? Introduction of the air bubble is a problem. The plant shoot is very small, it dies quite often. So, and results vary from time to time, day to day, and weather to weather, right? So that is what you are going to write about it. This question is asked several times. Then cobalt chloride. What is cobalt chloride? Little bit of chemistry again. Cobalt chloride paper is basically blue. You remember this, blue when dry and pink when wet. Okay, so when cobalt chloride paper is attached to the leaves, it will turn pink after, showing that transpiration has happened. Then you have the bell jar experiment, where you have water bubbles, water droplets being condensed on the bell jar. So all these things we have been doing since our lower classes. So you understand the concept and you write the answer accordingly. What are the adaptations that plant undergo to reduce the rate of transpiration? That is, the stomata can be sunken, the leaf can be narrow, the leaf can be modified into spines, right? So these small, it's a very small chapter, but an important chapter. Then there are certain experiments that I have already told you, the bell jar experiment, then the Ganong's potometer, then you have that oil film experiment, where you have the twig in the oil, that water is being reduced, showing that the transpiration is happening through the leaves, okay? And then you have three terms. Now we have already talked about transpiration. You have guttation and you have bleeding. Bleeding is quite similar to what happens to us. You have a cut and the blood comes out. In plant, if there is an injury, the cell sap comes out. That is called bleeding. So injury causes bleeding in the plants. Guttation, like dew drops are formed in the plants. Generally in the winter season or rainy season, you find out that the grass tips have water droplets. We call it dew. So that is the plant water that has come out, right? That is guttation. So oozing out of water or loss of water in form of droplets from the margins of the leaf is called guttation, and there are special openings in the margins which are called hydathodes. So hydathodes are present on the margins of the leaves, ends of the veins and the veinlets of the leaves, from where the water comes out as droplets. Now the difference between the water which comes out in transpiration and guttation and bleeding is different. In bleeding, it is the entire cell sap that oozes out. It contains all kind of material which a plant cell has. Transpiration, it is only water vapor coming out. In hydathodes also, it has certain amount of substances mixed in water. It's not pure water. Pure water comes out in transpiration. Is this clear? So this is your 5th chapter also done. Next chapter is photosynthesis. So let me rub the board. Next topic is photosynthesis. Photosynthesis, the most important question that is asked in photosynthesis is the chemical equation, chemical balanced equation for photosynthesis. right? So what is photosynthesis? Plants prepare their food in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll, utilizing the water and the carbon dioxide to produce glucose and oxygen, right? So this is how you are going to write the chemical equation. 6 molecules of carbon dioxide combines with 12 molecules of water to form glucose plus 6 molecules of oxygen plus 6 molecules of water. This is slightly different from your chemistry, right? In chemistry we write a net reaction, so we have 6 and no water there. But when you write for bio paper, you have to write 12 H2O. 1 marks is given for this and 1 mark is given for this if it comes for 2 marks. Now in this case, if you don't write chlorophyll and sunlight, you get 0 because photosynthesis is not possible in absence of sunlight and chlorophyll. Is that clear? Now when you talk about photosynthesis, there are 2 reactions that is happening. One is light dependent and one is light independent. So light dependent reaction, light dependent and light independent. Right, light dependent reaction is called the photochemical reaction, and this is called the dark reaction and biosynthetic reaction. Okay, photochemical reaction, why? What happens here? Here it is photolysis of water. Photolysis of water. What happens in photolysis of water? The H2O, okay, H2O molecule breaks in the presence of photon, that is light, to produce 4 molecules of, that is 4 hydrogen ions, electrons and oxygen, 4 electrons and oxygen gas. Is okay. So this is the byproduct of photosynthesis which is released. This is released in the light reaction. Is that clear? Now what happens to these? This and this. This helps in reducing NADP. NADP plus 4H plus electrons will reduce it to NADPH, and this will participate in the dark reaction. Similarly, the electron also helps in formation of ATP. Now this ATP is required for the biosynthetic pathway, okay. So how ATP is formed? It is formed from ADP plus PI, which forms ATP. This ATP is also used in the dark reaction. So in dark reaction what happens? Carbon dioxide is taken in and glucose is formed, C6H12O6, okay, this is formed and 6 molecules. This all things are required in the entire process, and it is a cyclic process. Again the electron will be released, it will come back into the dark reaction. Site where light reaction happens, it happens in the thylakoids. I hope you remember thylakoids, and dark reaction, it happens in the stroma. Stroma with the R, stoma is for the stomata, right? The stroma with the R is a site where dark reaction takes place. Thylakoids, the stack-like structures present in the chloroplast. On the membrane, the light reaction takes place. Light reaction has photolysis of water and ATP formation, which is called photophosphorylation. Photo, light, phosphorylation, ATP synthesis. So these definitions can be asked. What is photolysis of water? What is photophosphorylation? So photophosphorylation also happens in the light reaction, that is ATP is synthesized in the light reaction. Full form of NADPH, NADP, ATP can be asked, and there is a video on the abbreviations. Total 36 abbreviations are there for your entire exams. So there is a very short video on that, kindly go through it the same. Moreover, there is also a video for the diagrams, so consult for drawing the neat diagrams. Is this clear to you all children? So this is all in photosynthesis, opening and closing of stomata is required. Potassium ion theory is there for your syllabus. Now potassium ion theory is very simple if you understand. The question that can be asked is which ion is responsible for opening and closing of stomata? Potassium ions, that is the answer. If you have to explain, there is no big explanation as such is needed, but what concept you have to understand, that as the first ray of light hits chloroplast, that is in the guard cells, that is on the epidermal surface, photosynthesis happens in the guard cells that releases ATP. As ATP is released, it takes in the potassium ions. So ATP formation leads to the influx of the potassium ions in the guard cells. Now what happens, the concentration of the guard cells increases. So water from the epidermal cells gushes into the guard cells, making it turgid and the stomata opens. Similarly, at night when there is no photosynthesis, there is no ATP. So obviously potassium ion will leave the guard cells, the guard cells will become flaccid and the stomata will close. Simple. There are adaptations for maximum photosynthesis, or what adaptations can be for photosynthesis? You see that there are conical plants in the hilly areas where the sun rays are slanting. The reason is each leaf can be exposed to the sunlight, so that everything gets the sunlight properly, each and every leaf. So there is a conical shape for the canopy in the colder places or on the mountains. Anything else that you have not understood, kindly put it in the comment section. Then there are certain experiments on photosynthesis. Hydrilla, Elodia, these are the water plants which can photosynthesize under water. I cannot have the normal plant placed in water to photosynthesize because the water will block the stomata. The water plants are adapted to photosynthesize in the water. Addition of sodium bicarbonate increases the carbon dioxide concentration. So release of oxygen gas will be increased when you add a pinch of sodium bicarbonate in water. Okay. Now there are certain experiments like KOH, potassium hydroxide, या फिर soda lime is used to absorb carbon dioxide. If carbon dioxide is absorbed, that means the experiment is trying to show that photosynthesis can happen only in the presence of carbon dioxide. Is that clear? Then if you use variegated leaves are those leaves in which you have different colors, white patches, yellow patches, green patches. So there you will find what is important for photosynthesis, chlorophyll. So all the experiments that you study for photosynthesis has to show these, whether carbon dioxide is required for photosynthesis, chlorophyll is required for photosynthesis, using black paper to absorb light, sunlight is required for photosynthesis. So by seeing the experiment, question can be asked that what is the aim of the experiment. So for the aim of the experiment, you need to write to show that chlorophyll is required for photosynthesis, sunlight is required for photosynthesis, carbon dioxide is required for photosynthesis. Is that clear? So that can be the only question that can be asked for your experiment based questions. Then there at carbon cycle ka importance kya hai? In the beginning, for any food chain, the most responsible factor is photosynthesis. Photosynthesis significance is food for all, oxygen for all, and then you talk about the balance of oxygen and carbon dioxide. So producers provide food, fixing of carbon dioxide is done by the plants, then all decomposition and scavengers, then we return the carbon back. So you kindly go through the cycle once. We are done with photosynthesis. Anything that you have not understood, the factors affecting photosynthesis. Now for factors, give me a moment, I will rub the board. Next is the factors affecting photosynthesis. For factors affecting photosynthesis, you have to have a graph. Okay. Now here you have the rate of photosynthesis, and here you have the factors. So, let us take the first factor as light. So, I will use white chalk for this. Okay. So, rate of photosynthesis increases with the increase in light and then becomes constant. Okay. So, rate of photosynthesis increases with the light up to certain level, after that it becomes constant when other factors like carbon dioxide and water, they become limiting, that is they are not there. Okay. So, this is how the graph shows. Then next one, if I say carbon dioxide, for carbon dioxide also the rate of photosynthesis increases and then it becomes constant. Okay. If you increase further, the stomata closes and the photosynthesis drops. Next one that we talk about is temperature. So, for temperature you have a bell shaped graph. So, for temperature you have an optimum temperature say of 35 degrees C. So, for 35 degrees C is the optimum temperature. If you go on increasing say from 20 degree onwards, if you from 20 to 30 degree, the rate of photosynthesis basically doubles. So, for every 10 degree rise in temperature, the rate of photosynthesis doubles itself. Okay. So, the rate of photosynthesis goes on increases till 35, you can have it like 22 to 32 also, the rate will double itself, and as it reaches 35 it is optimum. After that the denaturing of the chlorophyll takes place and the enzymes required for the process of photosynthesis gets destroyed. So, the rate of photosynthesis drops. Water content, again water is an important factor. The rate water is more, photosynthesis is more if you have the constant graph. So, this is what the factors of photosynthesis is all about. A food chain question can be asked from this chapter, photosynthesis. Start with the producer, go to the consumer, primary consumer, secondary consumer, tertiary consumer. This is generally asked for rat, snake, grains. So, that is by applying common sense we can easily solve the questions. Any doubt children, put it in the comment section, I will be answering that. Last chapter of plant physiology is chemical coordination in plants. Chemical coordination in plants, we not only study about the hormones, that is phytohormones. What are phytohormones? That is plant hormones. So, here also you have got certain full forms, IAA, that is indole 3 acetic acid. Okay. So, go through the full forms. So, you have here auxin, you have cytokinin, you have gibberellin, and you have ethylene, and you have abscisic acid, ABA. Okay. These are the 5 hormones that we are studying. Abscisic acid is a inhibitor, rest all are the promoters. It is also the stress hormone in plants. Now, what makes it important? Stress hormone in plants is ABA, stress hormone in human beings or animals is adrenaline. So, question can be asked from there. Auxin helps in the stem elongation, cell elongation, growth of stem. Okay, so here auxin is important. Cytokinin is cytokinesis, promotes cell division, so increase in the root growth. Gibberellin's internode extension. Ethylene is the only gaseous hormone, that is for the ripening process. So, you have to study at least 2 to 3 specific importance of these hormones. That is really important. Then you have got tropic movements, right? Tropic movements is stimulus and you have response. Okay. The first one, the phototropism. Stimulus is light, response is growth. So, bending of the plant shoot towards the light is phototropism. Next one is gravity. Again the response is growth. The geotropism, okay, water, hydrotropism, touch, thigmotropism, and in all the cases the response has to be growth. Okay. So, thigmotropism, touch, you have tendrils formation. Do not give the example of the nastic movements like the touch me not plant, do not give the example for that. Here you have to give the example of the leaf tendrils, how they intertwine around the support for the growth. So whichever response is growth, the tropic movements, light, gravity, water, touch. Clinostat is used for geotropism, right? Then you have, if you have given priority to the roots, whether you want gravity or water, the first priority is water. So even the root will take hydrotropism as a priority and then move to the geotropism. Is that clear? Any doubt here? Put it in the comment section. So this is about the tropic movements in the plant. There is one more given in a green box. It's not written, that it's not in the syllabus. So kindly see how the sunflower moves towards the sun. Here the hormone responsible is auxin, heliotropism, that is sunflower movement. So this is the basics that we have done for all the 4 chapters of plant physiology. Anything else that you have not understood, put it in the comment section. Happy learning, children. Like, subscribe and share if you think it is worth sharing. Thank you so much. Have a great day.